All right, it is spooky snack time, and this is our second one.
Yay! Thanks for sending stuff in, everybody.
Oh, yeah, we so appreciate it. We had a flood from Ohio, as a matter of fact, and that's where this one comes from. And there's plenty more Ohio waiting on us.
Yes, there is.
And I'm Nash.
And I'm Tiff. Hi.
Just in case some of you are listening to this as your first episode, our podcast is normally about spooky, scary, paranormal, supernatural stuff, but the criteria is that the story has to be true and have, concrete facts, dates, names, all that good stuff. For these though, these are a little bit different. These short episodes they're just little mini episodes that we'd like to start doing regularly, sprinkling them in between the big ones in that off week. And these come from you guys. These are suggestions for things you'd like to hear us cover, as well as your own personal stories of creeptastic stuff, hauntings at your houses or local cryptids or whatever. And bring it on. We want to hear more. We'll talk about pretty much anything. And
Yeah.
these don't have to have like tons of facts. These can be fun.
Yeah, a little bit more kind of fast and loose on these ones.
Exactly. And on that note, speaking of getting them to us, if it's easier for you guys to get in touch with us via email versus coming to the blog or webpage or whatever we have at the point in time you're listening to this and submitting stuff there, please feel free to do so. And that address is youtotallymadethatup@gmail.com. So all one word, no spaces or anything, just our name, you totally made that up at Gmail. And also on the topic of communicating, we are now on Twitter. We took the plunge. So please do join us at YTMTU Podcast. So that's our initials, the initials of the name, YTMTU, for You Totally Made That Up Podcast, all one word, on Twitter. So yeah, come follow us. And we tweet more than just episode links. Cross my heart. There's lots of cool stuff to see. So, to get going on our spooky snack, here is what a listener said. I have another suggestion for you lovely ladies. I'm not sure how well known it is outside of Ohio. Mansfield Reformatory, which is in Mansfield, Ohio. It's supposedly very haunted, and the Shawshank Redemption was filmed there. Might be worth looking into, especially with the movie tie-in. Well, okay then. Ohioan? Ohioan? Is that what they're... Ohioite? Ohio kin? Ohio...
Ohio. Oh, I don't know. Ohioan. Ohioan.
Ohioan?
That sounds kind of
Ohioan?
right. Yeah. Let's do that. That one's good.
All right then. So we aim to please, and I get to do this one. So Tiff gets to kick back and drink wine or whatever she's indulging in.
Mhm.
Is it anything good?
Right now it's some water, honestly. I did help myself to about half a bottle of wine a little while ago. So
Well, sweet. All right. Well, while that kicks
I'm good.
in,
Yeah.
you let that kick in and just get a load of this. All right. So just a touch of background. The Ohio State Reformatory, a.k.a. Mansfield, like our submitter said, was used in the movie The Shawshank Redemption. And if you've not seen that, watch it immediately. But if you have seen it, you know how beautiful, I mean, really, it's beautiful. It really is. You know how beautiful that building is. And I read that it was designed in the style of German castles. So it's kind of opulent in a way for a prison, definitely.
Hmm.
And I know the inside isn't pleasant, to be sure, but the exterior really is something to see. I'm into old architecture, so I'm glad they've kept it around because the older outer buildings were demolished after Shawshank was done filming, but they had enough sense to leave the main building. But anyway, other movies have used the site like Tango and Cash, Air Force One, others that I didn't bother to note. And now it's open for ghost tours because there's been lots of tragedy on this site. So, to start with, the site it's on was formerly that of a Civil War camp. Not great. It was built between 1886 and 1910, and it was meant to be a first-time offender jam, not adolescents, but just stuff I'm inferring to be like petty thefts or whatever, not like murderers and all that. However, big however, About 20 years on, so this is in the early 1930s, it got overcrowded. They were putting too many people per cell, stuff like that. So, along with that, there's probably lapses in medical care, not enough of a prisoner to guard ratio. There's more prisoners, so there's more fighting, all that good stuff that you would naturally assume. So,
Good times, yeah.
yeah, not fun. So, a couple specific things I read about was that during an escape attempt in 1926, an old guard, I mean, he was 72. Can you fathom being a prison guard at 72 years old? I
Oh my
just,
gosh.
I know. Well, he gets
No.
shot and killed. And so that guy got fried in the chair. Then in 1932, another prison guard, and this one was 48. But I just have to say, I also wouldn't want to be a prison guard at almost 50, at least not in the 30s, because back then, 50 was about 80. So that 72-year-old dude was equivalent to like 115. Easy. Like, just
Yeah,
because
very
back, you
ancient.
know what I mean? It was hard. It was hard living back then. I thought you were going to say something, so I shut up.
No, I'm listening. I'm just thinking about these ancient, like weathered, kind of
Weathered.
Dust Bowl people.
That was very polite. So, okay, anyway, the almost 50-year-old. So, this was another escape attempt, and he was beaten to death with an iron bar. And
Oh,
those prisoners also got crispy. In 1948, and this is just dumb. Former inmates, former, two former inmates come back. They were out. All they had to do was stay home. That's it. They come back and they kidnap the prison farm superintendent, and I had no idea such a thing existed. They kidnap him and his wife and his daughter. They take him to a cornfield and murder them. Why? I have no idea. No one ever said. But these two dudes, who were nicknamed the Mad Dogs, then went on a spree and ended up killing 6 people. And after a shootout with cops, one of them died. And guess what happened to the other one?
was he fried?
He fried. So, another tragedy had to do with the warden and his wife. That is the warden that was there in 1950. It wasn't the same warden for like 100 years. So, she was at home, and their residence is on the prison property, like that groundskeepers were too. And she's reaching up into a closet, and up from the shelf, a pistol fell, and it went off, and it shot her, and she died.
Oh,
Then a
come
few
on.
years later, I know, just can you even? Then a few years later, her husband also died on the grounds. He was in his office when he had a heart attack. Then a couple of random hearsay stories, because I didn't see primary sources cited, and we don't go on deep dives for these. So take these next three as you will. Supposedly, in one case of solitary confinement, it wasn't exactly solitary because 2 men got put in together. And then when it was time to let them out, one had killed the other and then stuffed the body under the bed. Like, was he
Where
trying
did he
to hide
go?
it? Like, what? I don't, what, foot? No. Like, nah, man, you just put me in here. And
Huh.
then another time, a solitary confinement prisoner hung himself, which there's got to be more of those. I feel
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hanging oneself in prison is I don't know statistically how common it is, but it feels like it's a common story,
It apparently
regardless.
happens.
And hey, made news recently, matter of fact. So, I mean, it happens often enough. Let's put it that way. And then another prisoner supposedly set himself on fire, which,
Ooh,
how? How?
that's intense.
So, all right, well, let me run down the hauntings. And now I'm probably the worst person to do these. I'm going to deliver this information without gusto because I don't believe any of it. As y'all know, I am the killjoy. But I tell you, God bless Ranker. The site Ranker, they did a tidy little list of the stuff that one might experience at the prison. And I'm just going to hit the high points and run through a handful of the reported whatever these are, experiences, we'll call them. So, um, there's a room called the chair room where, you guessed it, a chair apparently moves on its own. That if it's put in the center of the room, there's this ghost who will put it back in the corner. This is very important to the dearly departed, the feng shui of it all, don't you know?
Of course.
Of course. And the ghost of the old warden's wife, who we mentioned, she haunts the administration wing. And it said that the smell of her rose perfume is there. And God, y'all, I hate that smell. It smells like you've just rolled around in a funeral home. To me, that's all roses are. Can't stand them, but to each their own. Okay. And also, so you smell her, and then there's the traditional cold spots, and the cameras won't work. So there's that tradition of electronics freezing up. In the solitary confinement area, or aka the hole, it's supposed to be really bad because when I don't know, like they'd
Because of the
stuff
dude under the bed.
because of the
Yeah,
dude
of
under the bed,
course.
just him. But they'd stuff, because they were so overcrowded, they stuffed like 100 people into a space built for 20 people, and yeah. And then there was the incident of the bed stuffing. But there is, of course, no source cited, so I don't know. Um, there is a graveyard where they know at minimum 200 bodies are buried. And okay, so you've got your cameras that won't take photos or they come out blurry or whatever, and that grave markers will move around on their own. I'm sure that's like the chair, out of sight
Grave.
of witnesses.
Huh.
Uh, in the chapel, voices will be heard, orbs can be photographed, and people get grabbed. So, hands,
Yes, the globules. Just like
yes,
Ed Warren found.
yes, the globules. Um, orbs can be explained, but we're not going to talk about that right now because I'm being enough of a killjoy and not being spooked out by this. So, but I love that people get felt up in the chapel. That's just beautiful. That's where the handsy ghosts are. Um, and in the east cell blocks, there's the cell where that prisoner set himself on fire. And it said specifically that he, quote, doused himself in kerosene and lit a match.
Why was
Now,
he given
well,
kerosene?
thank you. Where a prisoner gets kerosene is beyond my reckoning. I have no idea. Matches, okay, because I thought cigarettes maybe. So matches, I kind of, but kerosene, that seems
Yeah.
very odd. Whatever. So apparently he shows up. The infirmary, of course, it says to be super haunted because people died there a lot, whether naturally or otherwise, and that paranormal, heavy quotes, experts have detected high electromagnetic readings.
S-
Wasn't everything lead paint back then? Would electromagnet pick up lead? See, these are things I don't know. What are they called? EMF? Yeah, I don't know. Would that pick up lead or lead? Would
Uh,
the metal? Well, everything was metal.
I feel
I'll
like it
tell
would
you
have to be
that.
very sensitive. I don't know.
I mean, well, the
I
metal
don't
in the
know.
pipes, or I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I
something to
know.
think about.
I know that everything was metal back then. The beds were metal. The sinks were metal. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Everything was metal. So whatever. Okay, I'm no fun. I'm no fun, listeners. I'm no fun. But there's a tower. It has a tower because German castle type architecture. It's very pretty.
Yes.
And so this is my favorite, I think, of all. Ghosts will push people up and down the stairs, and I find that hilarious. That they're just dicking around and just shoving the hell out of people. I love that. I love that. They are 12 years old, and I love it. So I'll put a link in show notes to the official website because it's still up and running for tours. But the way it
And it's
ended
for
being,
ghost tours.
oh yeah, well they call it the Shawshank tour, but I my guess is there's ghosty stuff told because I know they well of course they've let in because when I googled like one of those ghost hunter shows that I'm forgetting the name of and potentially it is called Ghost Hunters, one of those popped up. I think BuzzFeed Unsolved popped up, so they also still let people film there for ghosty purposes. I don't know that they're I didn't read in depth, so I doubt that they're shrugging off this ghost haunted reputation. I mean, be silly. They're making money. And it's
It would be
still so
silly because they have an abundance of ghosts, Nash. Okay.
that's why it's silly. You're right. I'm
Civil
wrong.
War ghosts,
Nobody
they've got
mentions the Civil
layers.
War either.
They've got
That's
layers there.
That's also going to be one of our topics, by the way, is Civil War related supernatural stuff. So say you guys just got an inside scoop. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's on the list. And nobody mentions any. Granted, I didn't go on a super deep dive for this because it's a shorty, but nobody mentions. To me, that is gold right there. That it's built on a Civil War campsite.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much as a battlefield, but still.
Yeah.
So
It was all bad.
there's nothing but bad. This is nothing but
There
bad.
was nothing good about any Civil War area.
No, at all.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, people died there. But anyway, I digress. So it didn't end up, was okay. So the way it ended up not being a prison anymore was because a big lawsuit was filed on behalf of the 2000 some odd prisoners that were there in 1978. But the lawsuit didn't get resolved until, get this, 1990, which is when it
Ooh.
was officially shut down because it was, quote, determined that the OSR was unfit to serve as a prison. So I take it that it had been overcrowded all that time. And I mean this sincerely, bless their hearts. Because we in general just treat prisoners like they're vermin, and don't get me started on that because it really pisses me off. That gets me torqued up. Ghost stories don't get me torqued up. Stuff like that gets me torqued up. And actually, you know what, John Oliver, I'll link this in show notes too, because John Oliver recently did a segment on Last Week Tonight about prisons, and it was really really eye-opening and interesting. I'll stick that in show notes too. But all right, there you go. There's your rundown of the ghosts and of the prison. And
Go take the Shawshank tour and tell us if you get pushed on the stairs. I mean, provided you don't fall down the stairs or anything bad happens to you.
oh yeah, don't break anything. But if you get felt
Yeah.
up in the chapel,
Mm-hmm.
immediately,
Yeah.
immediately write us.
Yeah. Like Nash said, there's lots of ways. You can tweet it, you can email it, you can, I don't know, maybe at that point we'll be on other things. You can snap it. Send us a Snapchat.
What
Me
are
and
the
the ghost.
whippersnappers doing nowadays?
All you youngins.
Oh, you
TikTok
youngins.
it. I don't know, whatever the hell.
Bing bang it. Fart shoot it. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. It sounds pretty cool.
I think Chapel Phillips might be the title for the. I don't know. I've got to marinate. I've got to marinate.
Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. Ohio, keep it up.
So there you go, Ohio writer. There's your rundown on the Shawshank prison. And hey, guys, if you would kindly take a moment and rate and review on the platform of your choice. And I just added a couple, matter of fact, but we're on most all of the popular ones, methinks. So, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, Podbay. Do a search on your platform of choice. We will likely be on there. And it lets us and others know what you think. It helps us climb the charts and get exposure and hopefully get more people to listen to our silliness and craziness.
Yes, please.
That wine's pretty well kicked in, right?
Yeah, I might take a refill here in a second just to keep it going.
You're hilarious.
Toss some fruit in there, make it sangria.
There you go. All right, everybody. So that's all for us. And send in your stuff so we can do more spooky snacks.
Yeah, see you next time. Stay spooky.